actually for the finishing the assignment.
Even going up earlier, like the assignment you didn't finish during class, like just naming the assignment instead of like you didn't finish it, remember? Like
the wording. So I sense snarkiness in that, right? The assignment you didn't finish. Instead of saying, oh, that math worksheet that you were working on. So adding clarity there, adding positive language. Perfect. So you guys already recognize all of those things. So just to recap, again, we want to intervene early, we want to look at the environment, and we want to look at those replacement behaviors and ensuring that they're being explicitly taught and explicitly reinforced. That it is okay, that if you have with a student the strategy of taking a break, that is an acceptable behavior. We're going to reinforce that taking a break, but we're also going to highly reinforce when they're doing the expected behavior of actually starting the assignment. So you want to be reinforcing both of those pieces and ensuring the student is successful. A quote. Yep.
Do you do our day today as a PD? Because we were talking about this kind of sums up everything. That would be really nice for someone to hear from.
So we mentioned, and as part of your action plan, you talked about the 10 evidence-based classroom strategies as a really important PD piece. I've done some where we've weaved some of that with this function of behavior and with this escalation, because they all, I think you've naturally seen now through the conversation, they all blend and go together. And you have identified this as a explicit kind of staff teach piece. I think it comes down to timing. We do come in and externally do it. But I also want you guys to, because we talked about this last time, the importance of the messaging coming from this team too. So how can we reinforce tidbits during staff meetings? How can we provide some strategies? Maybe it's like, hey, Missy has a great.
But you know what, man, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just saying, like, if it comes from me or Amy or Carolyn, they think it's like, well, it works for you, it doesn't work for me, or whatever. We have no, you know.
But people say that about on-site presenters too. You're right, but
I'm just looking at this as like, you know what, this is very, I thought, helpful because in a non-threatening way, it's making teachers look at how you're part of the problem. And I don't mean to say problem, but you could be handling it way differently. Right. And again, that word is non-threatening because if we say it different, if Amy says it, you're going to be like, oh, what does she know? She doesn't.
So I think you're putting, so you know the context of your staff, you know the staff needs in your building. So it could be having an outside presenter coming and doing this, but then I want to, again, empower you all as PBIS team members that how can you reinforce this message? How can you model some of this work? How can you acknowledge staff who are also doing some of these things?
One of the ways we do this, and I did this at the middle school when I was there too. We had Sarah, who's no longer with CERC, and Terry came over and did the de-escalation part because that was an issue for us at the middle school where teachers were really making it worse than, making it worse. So we used this, and it was a lot of this, so some of this, especially that particular slide that you keep showing, the de-escalation, the preventative stuff, was a PD that we did during data team time, so we had like 2 hours. But then we followed up with other things after that. So it could be used as a kickoff, where then they maybe come in and do part of this in some time that we have, but then we then follow up with some specifics. Were they responsive to it? Yes. For sure.
Because I think you want some of it to be owned here. So maybe it's some of those, maybe it's not you as team members, but I'm sure you all know of colleagues who have some great strategies or techniques that they use. Allowing them to come and share, here's what I do when my student is destroying property in my classroom. Here's how I respond. Here's some prevention techniques that I do.
And a lot of it was, and some of the follow-up was, which I've already talked to our staff about, was, I think like even in our first staff meeting, I talked about this, because often you, as the adult, need the reminder that you're getting a little too hot and angry at that student. So you need a colleague sometimes to give you a signal to say, calm down.
Let me step in
and you're right, because we're all human, right?
Hey, I want your glass, but
a lot of what we did at the middle school was that, kind of coming up with who your partner would be when you would see that, because things often at the middle school happen during transition times in a hallway, not so much in a room. So it helps with staff to look at that and to begin talking to each other and what we can do. But again, you have to also have those relationships with your colleagues to feel comfortable saying it. Because even though we've had those cases this year where I've said stuff to teachers, some people still were offended that I said something to them. Well, that's that person now,
So those are going to be setting up those systems, and we've talked about it now in a few different scenarios. They're setting up a system for kind of staff to learn kind of classroom behavior management techniques from others. How can I have a buddy? So those are kind of stuff we're going to know on our action plan that we might not have ready for fall, but that's okay. Again, remember this is a long-term project we're working on. So maybe next year we're thinking about, hey, how can we intentionally build in some peer buddies? And like you just did my quote again for me. I mean, you're not even facing the board. That we all make mistakes sometimes. Like we all contribute to escalations at some point. So it is not a like, oh my gosh, this person did that. It's natural. Sometimes it just happens.
Right.
But to not get hung up on that, think about then what am I going to do differently next time? That you get a chance to do it right another time. So that's again holding up the mirror and being able to be self-reflective.
And I think using what their suggestion was of using part of this as a PD that you do present to our staff, and then we do a lot of follow-up with that, because it's not something obviously we need just you, but it could be like something used as a kickoff, especially for the de-escalation.
Yeah, just saying if they hear it from somebody else. That's all. That's all.
No, I'm understanding that. So I think kind of a marrying of both there, giving some outside PD and then giving some support. Internal supports from you as a team, and also calling on some of your colleagues to demonstrate, because you all don't always need to be the ones delivering the message. So if you're doing at your staff meeting, you have a colleague that you know has a great debrief questionnaire that they use with students, or they have a stop and think sheet that really works well in their classroom. Hey, bring them on. You want somebody else to also highlight the strategies that you're using.
And I think out loud, but put them in the lunchroom. Clip them up so people can take one. Because honestly, I forgot what I did with that one. The one they had.
I keep it.
I remember Carolyn had them out during the ODR staff meeting.
Put them in the lunchroom. Where the teachers just a stack. Take one
if you want it. Yeah, no,
I
that's a
don't
good
know.
idea.
I just look at.
I think the strategy too that